Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and we're not going to be looking fully at the FCM 50T, or well, this is the Liberté version today. This is more of a revisit. I did review this tank quite a while ago now. It was when I first started doing reviews. I think I'd only done maybe 4 or 5 before I did this one, and but it was before the module viewer and the armor viewer as well, so that's why I thought, with it being, with the normal one, the FCM 50T, going into the store today, I would revisit it and take this opportunity to look at the modules and armour. So this bit is going to be fairly quick. If you want to see anything else about it, the review is actually in obviously my tank reviews, and I think it was entitled Some Really Crap Jokes, sort of for Liberté and Justice, or something like that anyway. But there you go. I still stand by, I think, just about everything I said in that video. But yeah, I'd say so. And just a quick sort of reiteration of what I said, basically, in my opinion, this is possibly the best tier 8 medium in the game. Yes, I did say medium, it's a heavy, but it plays, feels, moves, everything basically like a medium, and that is how I would say to play it, like a tier 8 medium. And yeah, you know, I really do enjoy it. I've not been in it for months. I don't know why, and going in it again today has just made me sort of remember how much fun this tank actually is. It can't take much of a beating, but you can bounce shots off it. But anyway, let's just get into it and look at the modules, and I've got a couple of gameplay clips afterwards for you as well. So, it's got a rather large engine, as you can see there, which does take up nearly the entire back of the tank. There is a small gap in between it there, but essentially the back of the tank is engine. But you have a fantastic 1000 horsepower engine, which gives you a power to weight ratio of 18.46, which is medium tank sort of standards, you know. A forward top speed of 51 kilometers an hour, and it will get there, and it will maintain it quite well. Again, this is why I sort of refer to it as the best, or one of the best, tier 8 mediums in the game. A good reverse speed of 20 kilometers an hour. However, you have got that higher chance of fire at 20%. The gun, again, all the other details, they're in the other review. We're just looking at the actual, sort of hard stats. Now, the elevation is quite disappointing, actually, and I don't quite know why. You know, from where the breach is, it does look as though it could actually move down into the turret quite a bit, but for whatever reason, it does have poor gun elevation at only plus 17 degrees. But it has fairly decent gun depression of -8. Now, some of the French tanks, or quite a few of them, do have better at -10, but -8 is still damn good, and it is still very workable. And also, it makes that large commander's hatch, that little bit smaller when you're using that gun depression as well, and just accentuates the poor sloping on the front of the armour. But we'll have a look at that with the armour. Now, track. There are quite a few gaps in the tracks. The road wheels are quite large, but above them it is basically just gaps. You know, there's 3 small idler wheels in there, but you know, there are spaces to actually get through the tracks. So if you are shooting one of these from the side and you are struggling to pen for whatever reason, you might be lower tier or the angle, try and go for the hole in the tracks rather than going through the tracks. Terrain resistances are not bad, actually. Remember, this is a heavy tank, although for those of you that have been in it, you know, you will be like, really? It's 1.1, 1.2 and 2.4. So they could be slightly better, but again, they are good for heavy tank standards as well. And I'm looking at the Liberté, but like I say, this is, you know, it's exactly the same as the FCM 50T, apart from this has an inflated price tag because it's a hero tank and red, white and blue. Obviously, turret on top. You've got the radio, very small, just down in the rear right-hand side of the turret. Ammunition blocks, take your pick. You've got one, is it? Yeah, one in the rear left-hand side of the turret. So if you're from the back, go for the left-hand side of the turret, or obviously if you're on this side of the tank, that's where you want to be hitting. Also, a bit of a tip for the lower tiers amongst us: if you are behind one of these, try not to go for the rear of the hull. I know it might be very, very tempting, but it does have a fairly decent slope to it, and I have bounced quite a lot of shots off the arse of this thing from lower tiers, so go for the back of the turret. I think it is slightly weaker if I remember, but we'll look at that with the actual armour in a moment. But yeah, you do have a lot of ammo racks. Your main ones in the side of the hull are roughly behind the forward idler wheel and just behind and slightly in front of the mid idler wheel, which is that little bump that comes down just off the track. So the very small wheels that the track runs along the top of, and as you can see there is one in the hull as well. So if you're slightly below one of these things and you can get through the lower glacis, there's a good chance you could damage the ammo rack in there as well. Crew members, you've got two down in the front, the driver and assistant driver. Well, that's what I'm going to call him. I know that was mostly in British vehicles, I think. Obviously, commander sat under his commander's cupola, and then you've got the loader and the gunner sat up there next to him. I'm assuming either the commander or the loader will double up as the radio operator in this, but it's less important in this as it is in the PC version. Concealment, well, that is heavy tank standards, unfortunately, at 0.10 and 0.06. It would be nice if it had medium sort of tank concealment, but it is a very large vehicle after all. But you do have a decent amount of hit points at 1500 as well, so that's not too bad either. And it climbs like a bloody mountain goat. It really does. Now, armour-wise, the figures don't sound too bad, sort of, you know, when you first hear them, but there's not much of a slope to the upper glacis, like I said. You've got 120 on the front of the turret and the hull. You've got 80 on the side of the turret and the hull. And then the rear of the turret is 60mm, and the rear of the hull is 80mm. And like I said before, the rear glacis, the rear, you know, just the rear of the hull, does have a fairly decent inverse slope to it. It's possibly slightly better than the front, I'm not sure, might be about the same. But anyway, I have bounced from lower tiers on the arse of this thing from a distance, so if you have got the back of one of these things, just don't take the chance and just put it in the back of the turret. Plus, there's a good chance you could take out the ammo rack there anyway. But it is basically, they are the basic figures. It's very nice with that. It's not a patchwork like a lot of tanks, so, you know, that is nice. You've got 1 to 20, big old engine deck, turret top, but only the rear half, and the hull of the tank. Now, artillery do like to hit you, or try and hit you on the engine deck. It is a very large engine deck, so do be aware of that. But these aren't as badly armoured as people make out. Like I say, it's just the lack of the sort of decent slope to the front upper glacis. Now, 21 to 30, that's your tracks, and that's it. They will act as spaced armour, but you do have some big old gaps in there as well. 31 to 50 is your lower glacis, which is very well angled. It's quite large when you actually look at it, but it's very, very well angled, so it does make a very small target to hit. And if anything's up close to you, well, it's just not going to pen that lower glacis, but they'll probably just pen your upper one anyway. So, like I say, play it like a medium, not like a heavy, and it's a very good support tank, and it's fantastic at getting around the battlefield. Oh, and also falls into that bracket, the front portion of the top of the turret as well. 51 to 51 to 70 is the rear of the turret. 71 to 90, sides of the turret, commander's hatch, the whole side of the vehicle straight down, and the rear of the vehicle. Nice and simple. 91 to 120 is the upper glacis, again completely flat, no weak spots, nice and simple, and the front of the turret. And that's it basically. So I just thought I'd have a quick revisit, have a look at the modules, have a look at the armour, and give you a bit of gameplay as well. So don't forget there is the time code, a bit late now, but I do put the time code in there. But yeah, to look at all the other details, just pop back and have a look at my old review. Anyway, let's have a look at it in action. Right, so here I am in the first of the matches. It's a tier 9 battle. This does get preferential matchmaking. And, well, it's tier 9, standard battle, Typhoon on Pacific Island. Now, I was actually saying to my wife earlier that Wargaming could possibly actually do with, I mean, I don't know why this was classified as a heavy tank, whether it was developed as one, whether it, you know, Wargaming had got on weight, etc. But I don't think this was ever actually made. In fact, I'm not even sure there was even a prototype made of this. I think it was just sort of planning. And this could easily, and I would be really, you know, I'd be happy if this was reclassified as a medium and given standard matchmaking, because I think if it had standard matchmaking now, it wouldn't do very well in tier 10 matches, simply because it would be taking the place of another heavy that should be in there. But I think if it was, you know, reclassified as a medium, it could be given the normal matchmaking and do quite well. I mean, it's got 212 mil of pen on its standard rounds, same as the Legion, in fact, and that gets you know, that sees up to tier 10 as a medium, but it's not. It's classified as a heavy, but it does feel and drive and play just like a medium. Well, you know, somebody might say, well, I don't think it does, but, you know, it's just my opinion. I think it's, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree with that once you've been in one. It does feel a lot more like a medium, very manoeuvrable, very quick, actually, yeah, for a, you know, for a heavy tank. Good rate of fire, 8 rounds a minute with that 90mm gun. Now, I am platooned up with my lovely wife. It's the first time she's actually been on her account for a while. Probably since about a month or so before Christmas. I know she's helped me out on mine a couple of times, but she's sort of getting back into it. And unfortunately, in this match, the E75 just down to the right of me here does give her a bit of a beating, unfortunately. And I try and distract him and sort of take a bit of the heat, but I just cannot pen the damn thing from the side. I don't know if it's a combination of the angle and the height that I'm at, and well, hitting him would help. But yeah, I don't know, it just bounced off his side. I should have aimed it properly, and I was hoping to go through his upper glacis with me having the height advantage, but again, nothing, I'm afraid. I don't know if it's just, I think it is a combination of the sort of angle, the fact that I'm above him, so it's increasing the angle. No, it can't be. You know, I was going to say it's increasing the angle on the side, but it's not. He's on a slightly sloped surface and he's angled towards me, and they are fairly tough. However, it looks like I can get it, yeah, just through there. But by this point he has taken quite a bit of damage off my wife's tank, so that was unfortunate. And yeah, as you can see there, in a very bad way, so she's going to have to be quite cautious now. But you can just see how fast this thing moves. And I don't tend to see that many Libertés or FCM 50Ts anymore. When this first came on with the other hero tanks, you did see, you know, a few of these, but I don't see them very often anymore. And I must admit, like I say, I've not been in mine for months. Before Christmas, I think, possibly was the last time I was in this. I don't know how long before Christmas. Again, probably a few weeks, maybe a month before Christmas. But going in again today, like I said before, it has made me realise just how much fun this tank is again, because I had forgotten. And it can, you know, literally run rings around things. Now, ordinarily I would not go after this E75 in this without him being on his own. I mean, he is on his own, and I just waited, yeah, until he just about got his gun at me, and then just put it forwards, down the hill, and just got out of the way of his gun again. There you go. It is, like I say, it is very manoeuvrable, and it can literally run rings around some of the bigger, slower heavies at its tier and the tier above as well. Not a great deal of damage out of that myself. 1800, but 1400 assisted, so it did give me a decent amount of XP and credits out of that. Not a tremendous amount of credits, but again, it was a tier 9 match, and I came out of that second, so I'm quite happy with that one. And like I said before, in the sort of little garage bit looking at the modules and armour, it is exactly the same as the standard FCM 50T, so whatever I say about this you can take for the other one, apart from this one has that paint job and the higher price tag. I think the normal one is about 11,900, something like that, and this one has a Tankopedia listed price of over 15,000 silver, which is quite ridiculous actually. That much more just because it's got this paint job on it, got the French flag. And I actually preferred it before they changed it. The paint used to sort of fade out raggedy towards the back of the tank, and then they just put the stripes all the way to the back of the tank, but not over the back of the tank. So you've got this big grey square arse, and the rest of the tank, you know, is like that. Whereas before, because it faded out, it kind of made sense, you know, that you've got a big square grey arse. Anyway, while I'm just heading off up here, I think this one's a tier 8 match actually. I could be wrong on that one. I did not pay attention at the beginning of the video. I do apologise. But as you can see, it's Ruinberg, and it's a standard battle again. And while I'm on my way up to the crossroads, because not many other people are, and I don't really want to be up here on my own, because this is not usually a frontline tank. Certain situations it can be, and it can side scrape fairly well as well, because it does have 80 mil of armour, so that's not too bad, and the tracks can absorb a fair amount of damage as well if you angle it properly. But anyway, I was just going to mention the IS-38 Fatherland. The details are on the website for the op. Every time you do 500 damage, not combined, your own damage, you will get a drop. It will be one of 5 things. I can't remember what they actually are. One of them could be a medal. You've got 5 Fatherland medals numbered 1 to 5. Once you've got all 5, you will get the Fatherland. You will never get the same medal twice either, so if you've already got the first medal, you'll not get another one. Next time you get a medal, it will be the second one, but you collect all 5 medals and you'll get the Fatherland. I don't know, however, if, say, you get 1,000 damage done in a match, you'll get 2 drops, or if it's just 500, that's it, you get a drop. That I'm not too clear on. Now, I did take a hit from that SU-101, but luckily it either got absorbed or it bounced. So that's not too bad. I'm going to have to, like I say, be fairly careful. 120 mil on the front, you can bounce from the lower tiers. Same tier stuff, apart from at a distance, you've got to be careful. Not quite enough to take out RT in one hit, but hopefully I can reload in time, and I can, because, well, it's got a decent reload on it. Now I'm trying to hopefully get the ammo rack on the Centurion, but I didn't, unfortunately. Now, something else as well, I've been trying to sort of look for the stats for the IS-3A. I've not been looking overly hard, but I've had a look on the website, had a look in the Tankopedia, and they've not put the stats on yet. However, from the pictures that I've seen, from what I can figure out, does anybody know which 122mm gun it uses? Because I would have hoped that it had the BL9 and full matchmaking, same as an IS-3, but it looks, unfortunately... Oh, just managed to clip the last bit of health off him. Anyway, it looks, unfortunately, as though it might have the D25T. You know, the 175 pen, 390 damage, standard Soviet 122mm that's on just about every Soviet tier 7 or 8 premium that you seem to get. And I don't know if anybody can clear that up for me, but if that is the case, that's just kind of let me down a little bit and almost put me off buying it. I was kind of looking forward to it, but I really am a bit loath to pay out money for that gun again. Seems it's on the IS-2, it's on the SU-122, 44, it's on the ISU-122S, etc, etc. But anyway, I don't know if anyone can clear that up. Ooh, managed to just pop Artie there. And now there's a KV-4 left. I can afford to definitely take a hit, and all I managed to do is track him. But yeah, I can definitely afford to take a hit. I've got, well, nearly all my health left. And that's the game. There you go. I know it was a bit of a quick video tonight, and like I say, a bit of a revisit. I have done a review of this before, but without the module viewer because it wasn't available back then, and with it coming into the store I thought I'd have a look, so you might be able to get a better idea. But it came out of that one with 2,115 damage done, 1,162 assisted. I did get 25% extra silver for that op, and possibly, yep, 20,000 for that one. So it would have been about a 100,000 game, so not too savage at all, and top of the table with 4 kills, so yeah, quite happy with that. Like I say, first time I've been in it for a long time. But there you go. I hope you've enjoyed it. A bit different to something that I normally do, but I thought it was time to go back and have a look at the actual modules on that one. But there you go. Have a good weekend, and I'll be back on Sunday. So until then, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.